Morning everybody, it is Kat Luckock here from Share Impact, the impact strategist and business coach for social entrepreneurs. Really pleased to be jumping on live this morning with you. I haven't been on here for, since last week. I'm kind of just doing these Wednesday morning joint lives with special guests, talking about all sorts of different things, as how you can develop your social enterprise. We've had branding, copywriting. Last week we were talking all about trusting your own instincts and following your gut instinct. And today we've got Sabrina Lee from the Impact Agency joining me to talk about measuring impact. So let me just see if I can, I know somebody's watching, see if I can invite Sabrina. Not yet, so we'll bear in mind. Wait a minute. So as many of you know, and those that you don't, maybe you're new to Share Impact and myself, I help social entrepreneurs measure and communicate their social and environmental impact so they can actually, and also help them communicate it once they've actually done their impact measurement. So I'm just seeing if Sabrina can actually see me. So I thought it'd be really good to bring on another impact measurement specialist, so we can have a bit of a conversation about what we do, what's unique, what's different, and just share Sabrina's expertise as well, because she does different things to me, I'm sure. There we go. Can I just see you now, Sabrina? I'll add you in. Just takes a few minutes. Thanks everybody for your patience.
Hi, good morning.
Hey Sabrina.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Sorry, thanks for your patience as well. It always takes a few minutes
No, that's
to get
totally,
itself sorted out.
I know. I'm sort of learning this myself.
Yeah, it's
Great.
brilliant to have you on here, Sabrina.
Thanks
so
for having me. It's good to have a chat about these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, before we get into sort of questions and stuff, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at the Impact Agency.
Okay, well, I've been working in sort of international development for about 20 years, all over Africa, now back in the UK. So I've worked for a lot of organisations, international health organisations and education and things like that. And I started the Impact Agency about 3 years ago. And I do a range of things in the Impact Agency, actually. A lot of strategic planning, fundraising, strategy development. What else do I do? Facilitation, a lot of facilitation and research. But one of the things I really enjoy and actually quite passionate about, as you are, is helping organisations get their impact measurement off the ground. I do believe Emeka Icheku is watching us, and I went to university with him in South Africa.
Ah, brilliant.
I think
That's
so.
nice.
I think so. This is another Emeka, but that's really interesting. My gosh. Yeah. So so helping small organisations and social enterprises really get their head around impact measurement. I think, like you said, a lot of organisations are really overwhelmed and confused by it because it ranges from everything sort of the UN and DFIDs of the world are doing all the way down to sort of just gathering, bits of information on the ground. So it's quite a complex issue to get your head around, but it really doesn't need to be. I think we can find simple ways to do it.
Definitely. And do you think that's one of the challenges? I'll go straight into the questions. Do you think that's one of the challenges, certainly one of the challenges I see social entrepreneurs facing, is that it just feels a bit overwhelming, outside their comfort zone. It's not something they've done before, and so they kind of just ignore it.
Yeah,
really,
definitely. And I think it becomes a bit of a sort of head in the sand ostrich syndrome, because I think a lot of it feels very imposed by funders, and so organisations where they sort of have this spirit of really wanting to learn about their organisation and develop and grow based on a learning culture, what they feel is very much like it's a top-down imposed approach. They're told they have to measure this by this time. I think as well they don't get a lot of feedback on what they're reporting back. So when they demonstrate their impact, they don't get a lot of feedback from donors. And I've been at the receiving end of that as well, where we've done, evaluation reports, and it feels very much like they're gathering dust and, just put on the shelf. So I think it does feel, people just feel a little bit resistant to it, I think. And often don't bother until it's too late and then put things in right at the very end. Whereas I think your monitoring and evaluation really does need to be right from the very development of your programme in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's so important, isn't it, in terms of designing
Yeah.
what we often call now like the theory of
Yes.
change, and kind of designing what your methodology for collecting data and evidence will be throughout a program or a project.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I think people get quite scared by the term theory of change as well, and I use that term a lot, obviously, because that gets bounded around all the time. It sounds quite academic, and I think people do get a bit frightened by the academic stuff, and they really are. Most people that are working in this field are really programs people. They see the change happening on the ground, but they don't really know how to record it and how to get that data out of, and how to, and even, and databases are very confusing as well sometimes. So, and which one to choose, and oh my goodness, it's almost like we've got a bit of information overload as well with impact measurement as well, I think sometimes. So I think it's a bit of sort of keep it simple, stupid methodology we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're working with a very small social enterprise or small organisation, what's your initial kind of top tips if they're just starting out on this journey to think about social impact?
Right. Well, first of all, I think they need to think about what is the actual change they want to make. So, what's their sort of reason for being? Why are they in existence? You know. And so a lot of people will say, "Well, we're in existence to run workshops." Well, you're not in existence to run workshops. You're in existence to make a change. Maybe it's about people's confidence. Maybe it's about people's health and well-being. So it's about thinking, what is it that what is the change I'm actually trying to make here? So I'd say get those very clear sort of outcomes. What is your goals? In your organisation, and then really just sort of like break it down from your goal. So like the theory of change, in a way, we start with the end in mind, don't we? Another one of sort of Stephen Covey's sort of great habits or whatever, and I really like this one, is like, what's the end? What's the goal you want to achieve? And then work very simply, just sort of work backwards. So if your reason for being is to improve confidence and employability among young people, then your outcome is probably going to be that they get jobs, and then your output is probably going to be that they went to some CV workshops, or they went to some interview technique classes and that kind of thing. And then you think about, well, how many of those do I have to deliver then in order to get that many young people to achieve that goal? So it's almost a sort of seeing it like a sort of like a kind of funnel. You put all these activities in at the top, and then you get these nice outcomes out at the bottom. So that's, I would give them a very sort of simple framework for doing that, really, for establishing what their outputs, their outcomes, and their impacts are. And then I think another top tip from me would be to keep their tools very simple and use what's already available. So we've got lots and lots of great survey approaches now. We have SurveyMonkey, we have Typeform, we have Google Forms. They all go through to a really nice Excel spreadsheet that you can then go and take the data and analyse it and pull out graphs and things. So I think just keeping it simple like that is really effective as well. Unless you're a very, very big organisation, you probably don't need something like a CRM system or anything like that. What else? And then I also think that they should think about the data that they need to collect should really be about the information that's going to inform their practice, and that should be first and foremost what they should be collecting. So try and think about the things that are really going to make your organisation better, more beneficial to the people you're serving, what's going to be what's going to have the biggest impact, rather than constantly thinking about what funders want, which is really what a lot of organisations will be thinking, unfortunately. I mean, we obviously have to keep them as an audience because they're the ones, obviously holding the purse strings if we're talking about non-profit organisations anyway. But think about what you want to learn as an organisation. I think that's really important.
I think that's really, really important. And also, like, a lot of social enterprise I work with, you have training programs about what's useful information for their customers and what's going to kind of get their customers interested and attracted to their products or services as well.
Exactly, yeah, because I think in social enterprises, if we're talking about, the social enterprises I work with tend to be more sort of charities that have attached a trading arm, whereas I think you're also kind of working with organisations that have ethics as the real, or companies that have ethics as a fundamental part of what they do, and sustainability, and doing really good things for the world. And I think the thing is that their customers are really going to want that triple bottom line. They don't just want a product that's good. They want a product that's sustainable. They want it, they don't want to use bad palm oil. It's all of those kind of things. Yeah. So it's about, what is that information that your customer really wants, and what's going to keep them coming back to you, and how can you demonstrate that to them in a way that's clear. And also, I think the way that you present the information is also important. So we're moving away now from this sort of dry reporting and, you know, really boring, turgid reports, and having nice infographics and kind of infographics on your websites that are dynamic, that show sort of, you know, a leap in the amount of, I don't know, the reduction in plastic that your organisation is using, or how you're moving from unsustainable palm oil to sustainable palm oil, or whatever. If you can show that dynamic change, I think that really, really helps. Yeah.
And I suppose, the stories alongside that and the case studies and the examples can really bring that to life, can't they? They bring that report to life as well. So you've got the stories with the data.
Oh, definitely. I think stories are really, really critical. So quite a lot of, you know, funders sort of sometimes poo-poo the anecdotal stuff, but I think the anecdotal stuff is absolutely crucial, especially if you're a small organisation with real personal impact on the ground. I think having those case studies is really, really great. Yeah, definitely.
So, and I know we'll be a little bit biased about this question, but what do you think the benefits are for organisations actually working with an agency like yours, or working with somebody like me, to actually help them think through getting together an impact strategy or implementing their evaluation stuff? What are the added benefits of doing that?
Well, I mean, definitely having that outside perspective, I think, is really, really crucial. So sometimes organisations and companies can be so they're so blinkered, they're so focused on what it is that they're trying to do day to day, that they don't really see the bigger picture, and actually thinking about the fact that customers may actually want to know about, you know, I keep mentioning the sort of plastic and palm oil, but they really might want to know that. But for them, it might just be that they think they're just producing really, really funky pairs of socks or something. Do you know what I mean? So that's probably a bit of a bad example, but I think having that outside perspective and to see that bigger picture is really important. And then I think also, just in terms of the technical expertise, I think, you know, people like us who've done it before can actually wade through the quagmire of information that's out there and say, actually, that is all rubbish. You don't need any of that. That's all for, like, you know, the bigger guys. You're pitched at this kind of size, so something like this package and suite of services would really work for you, or suite of tools or whatever. How to marry your program management frameworks with your impact management is also really important. And I think quite a lot of organisations struggle with actually the culture in the organisation as well, because I think a lot of staff are still quite resistant to measurement, especially in some of the sort of more traditional organisations, non-government or non-profit organisations. So I think changing that culture and getting them to really buy into it and see it as a way of actually demonstrating and celebrating the work that they're doing, because when you can see the tangible impact that you're having, it's almost like, you know, for companies having targets or whatever, you know, organisations have targets. They want to see this many people supported, and if they can actually demonstrate that and show that, it keeps people motivated and excited. So I think another thing that I really do is facilitate that as well in organisations. I really like going and doing workshops and helping people really see how they can get involved and working out what, you know, how they want to buy into the process.
Yeah, and I think that's really positive, isn't it, as well, to kind of have a positive attitude towards having a learning culture, like that. It's not we're not doing as well as we want to, we're not doing our jobs properly. It's actually, where can we learn and improve and kind of constantly strive to be better, because all organisations can do that, even if they're already doing amazing things.
Oh, I completely agree. And I think I really love the whole idea of, and it may be a bit contentious, but the whole idea of sort of failing forward, really. I mean, if you fail a bit, that's okay. It's just a stepping stone towards success, you know, but it's good that you recognise that you failed and how you can change it. So I think quite a lot of organisations, unfortunately, are sort of failing, but they're sort of failing backwards rather than failing forwards. They're kind of not really addressing it, and then they just kind of go on and do the same thing again. But ones that really do embrace learning are the ones that do really well. I think they're the ones that do really well. Yeah. And realising that impact evaluation is also a learning process as well, getting to know how to do it properly. The first year you might, you know, completely mess it up and not get what you need, but you learn from that, you know, and then you go, next year we're definitely not going to use that survey. We're going to, you know, go and do more interviews because nobody answered the survey because it was a bad platform or whatever, you know. So yeah, it's a learning process. But I think working with people like us, you have less failures because we've done it all before. You know, we kind of know what works and what doesn't. Well, that organisation, that didn't work so well, so we can help people, you know, bring that learning in. Yeah.
Yeah, so although there's a cost, there's sometimes a saving in terms of working with somebody that's already got that experience, that can save time doing it with you,
Yeah.
that can support you through the process, who understands it. So you're not having to, you can learn once through that process with a consultant and then implement something, so you don't need that constant support
Yeah,
necessarily.
I think
Although I
so.
know some people like the help of writing the reports and stuff, because that can be quite
Yeah.
tedious.
Yeah, and also bringing people in to do your. Another thing I do is like impact evaluation as well. So I'm
Hmm.
talking more about the process of the actual kind of systems for monitoring and evaluation, but obviously the sort of external evaluations. When a project has ended, having somebody come in and do that and have that fresh pair of eyes and be completely unbiased in that process, I think is also really important. Yeah, because staff can contribute so much, but it's difficult for them to really evaluate what they've done over the course of a year or two.
So I'm interested as well, just before we finish, Sabrina, because it's been fantastic and I really appreciate all the input in it. With your international development background, do you kind of focus on those types of organisations, or are you kind
Well,
of spread across all the different
It's
sectors?
actually it's actually interesting because I'm just so interested in lots of different things. This can be one of the things with my thing. I think, should I specialise or should I just carry on
Yeah.
doing what I do? So I do actually work with quite a lot of national organisations now, but I spent a lot of time living in South Africa and working in Kenya and East Africa
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So I do still have a number of clients that are sort of from that international background. I like both. They're both very different. Working on
Mm-hmm.
British organisations is very different to working in the international space. So I enjoy everything. I just basically go. I select my clients really on whether I think that what they're doing is great, and they're a good bunch of people to work for, pretty much.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. It's important, isn't it, to be interested in the organisation,
Definitely.
interested in what they're
Yeah.
doing, to have passion and commitment to them, not just go through a process with them for the sake of
Oh,
it. Like,
completely agree. And I mean, I work with such a range of different sectors, so I learn new things every single time. So I've just done an impact evaluation on a group that works with female genital mutilation. I'm working on a measurement system for a social enterprise that turns flip flops into works of art that it dredges out of the ocean. So plastic
mm-hmm.
pollution. So there's such a range of things that I work on. Though, yeah, it's just really enjoyable and it's always different and always fun, really. Yeah.
So and to finish up then, tell us exactly how people can get in touch with you, and also what specific things you could potentially help. I know you've sort of covered a couple of stuff, but tell us again what other
Yeah.
specific things you can help
Yeah, sure.
organisations
So
with.
my website is www.theimpactagency.org, and my email
Mm-hmm.
is sabrina@theimpactagency.org. And yeah, so I can provide support with developing your monitoring and evaluation systems and tools, taking you right the way through, really, in the whole cycle of program development, all the way through to impact evaluation. That's one of the areas I work in. Helping you with your strategy and organisational development is another thing, and some communications work. So, and I also and all of that process, I do facilitation. I'm actually a trained coach as well, so I use coaching in
Mm-hmm.
that as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much me.
It's been brilliant talking to you.
Cool,
I'm so glad you're able
no
to
problem.
visiting, because I know you're about to go to the airport and
Yes,
get on
I've
a
got to
plane.
go. Yes, I've got to go. Cool.
Yeah, so thank you so
No
much, and we'll
problem.
speak
Thanks for
soon.
having me. It's been really great.
And yeah, I'll share your links below in the
Oh,
comments
thank
below,
you.
so people can
Thank
get
you.
hold
Okay,
of you.
Kat. Thank you. Bye.
Brilliant. Thanks. Bye bye.